The air tastes of ashen endings. Kale lies flat. The cold mud of the floodplain seeping through his hide wrappings, his knuckles white around a spear shaft. The spear is a pathetic thing of fire minus hardened wooden sharpened flint. A piece of their limited osteodontocratic technology designed for boar, not gods of flesh and tooth. Before him, the world is a flat, green expanse, a treacherous sanctuary between the hell he has fled and the heaven he cannot reach. Behind him, the smoke still rises in a thick, greasy column, the ghost of their forest home, a monument to the great fire that drove them out. Ahead, perhaps 1,000 paces across the open grass, rise the sheer limestone cliffs, topmounted with the dirt, life-minders giving mouths of caves, and between here and there, guarding the narrow pass that is the only way up, stand the gatekeepers. They are a matched pair of Allosaurus. Lords of this domain, they move with a predatory languor. They're massive, 3 stowed feet pressing deep into the soft turf. One tears at the carcass of a half-grown hadrosaur. Its head a symphony of synchronized destruction. Serrated teeth shearing through flesh and bone with sickening ease. The other stands sentinel, its head held high, tasting the wind. It is a creature of terrifying efficiency, its existence a constant, violent declaration of dominance. This is the law of this prehistoric world. A brutal truth written in blood on the land. Kale watches, his heart a cold stone in his chest. Every instinct, honed by a lifetime of hiding and running, screams that the floodplain is a death trap. There is no cover, nowhere to fade into the landscape. To step out from the reeds is to paint a target on your back. He crawls backward, silent as a water snake, and rejoins the clan. They are a miserable huddle of 30-2 souls. The last embers of the river-reed people, hidden in the final thicket of reeds where the burned forest bleeds into the plain. Berlin, their leader, a man whose strength is etched into the hard lines of his face, simply looks at Kale. He needs no words. Kale gives a slow, deliberate shake of his head. The path remains closed. A low murmur of despair ripples through the group. A child, startled by the guttural cry of a distant pterosaur, begins to wait, only to be quickly silenced by a mother's hand. They are trapped. Starvation will find them here. Smaller, faster pack hunters will sniff them out. Their flight from the fire has led them not to safety, but to a different kind of altar. This is the razor's edge upon which human evolution is carved. A contest between the desperate intelligence of ancient humans and the sheer, unthinking power of the planet's true masters. The elder, Maeve, her face a mask of wrinkles and smoke-stains, does not watch the predators. Her gaze is fixed far to the right, where a different kind of life grazes, heedless of the drama unfolding at the gate. Maeve's eyes, cloudy with age and wisdom, are not on Machilus. They have been fixed on the lumbering herd of Triceratops for the better part of the day. They are a moving mountain range of horn and hide, 50 strong, methodically stripping the plain of its cycads and ferns. A massive bull, his frills scarred from 100 battles, stands guard on the periphery, his 3 magnificent horns glinting in the harsh sunlight. He is the anchor of his herd, a living fortress. Maeve has watched the mothers guide their young. She has noted the way they communicate with low rumbles that vibrate through the very soil, and how they rip the vegetation apart with the immense power of their carrot and no US beaks. The annals of Paleontology, were they to be written, would never record this quiet, desperate observation. This moment where the cunning of a nascent mind weighs the instinct of an ancient one. The scene feels like something from a future dinosaur documentary. A quiet moment of grazing before the inevitable violence. She finally speaks, her voice a dry rustle of leaves. The sharp teeth are the masters of the gate, she says, not to anyone in particular, but to the clan as a whole. But they are not the masters of the plain. Onin turns to her, his brow furrowed. What are you saying, old butter? Maeve points a trembling, gnarled finger toward the grazing titans. They respect the thunder herd. I have watched. When the great horns move too close, The sharp miner's teeth give way. They will not risk a charge. A terrible understanding begins to dawn on Olen's face. He sees the impossible. Insane calculus forming in the elder's mind. No, he whispers. May have. No. But the idea is already loose. A venomous seed planted in the fertile ground of their desperation. We cannot fight the gatekeepers. Maeve continues, her voice gaining a chilling strength. So we will make the mountain fight them for us. We will make the thunder miners herd run. The silence that follows is heavier than the humid air. The clan stares at her as if she has lost her mind. To approach the Triceratops is suicide. To provoke them is to invite annihilation. Gale speaks first. His voice died with disbelief. They will crush us. We would be trading a quick death for a slow one. Maeve shakes her head slowly. They will run from the threat. They will run toward the open plain. And their path. It crosses the gate. This is the core of her gambit. A moment of profound foresight born from a lifetime of studying the brutal rhythms of prehistoric life. The plan is not to fight, but to orchestrate chaos. They will be the unseen hand that pushes the first stone. Starting an avalanche they cannot hope to control. Olen looks at his people, at their sunken eyes and hollow cheeks. He knows their survival skills are at their limit. He sees the truth in Maeve's madness. To stay is to die, to run is to die. This is the only path that holds a sliver of a chance paid for with unimaginable risk. He gives a slow, heavy nod. The decision is made. They move under the pale eye of a nervous moon. Olen splits the clan. Kaeland Ford the youngest. Fastest runners are the goats. The rest, including Maeve and the children, wait with him, coiled like a spring in the whispering reeds, their faces grim masks in the twilight. The plan is an act of pure faith in Maeve's understanding of this brutal world, a prayer offered not to gods, but to the predictable violence of beasts. The goats carry the last of their fire on pitch minus-soaked bundles of reed mace. They creep along the edge of the plain, a wide, looping path that will bring them to the flank of the dozing thunder minus herd. The minutes stretch into an eternity. The only sounds are the chirping of insects in the wet, tearing noises from the Allosaurus gate, a constant reminder of the stakes. Then, a spark flares in the darkness. Then another. Shouts, then unready, slice the night. The goats hurl their burning brands into the midst of the herd. The great bull Triceratops, startled from its slumber, ushers a deep, guttural roar of outrage. A spear, thrown with desperate strength, clatters uselessly off his massive horned frill. It is not meant to wound, only to insult. The insult is received. The bull bellows, a sound that is half earthquake, half thunder, and lowers its head. It begins to move, first to trot, then a ground minus devouring charge directly away from the perceived threat. The herd follows, a wave of muscle and horn. Instinct taking over. The earth begins to tremble. Out the gate, the two Allosaurus lift their blood minus soaked heads, their reptilian brains processing the approaching tremor. They are dominant, but not immortal. They know this sound. N-O-W. Olen's voice is a rock command. Daddy heard over the growing din. The clan bursts from the reeds. They do not run away from the stampede. They run parallel to it. A desperate race across the open ground. The air fills with dust and the thunder of 1,000 hooves. The world becomes a maelstrom of primal noise and motion. The Allosaurus bear hesitates for a fatal second. One roars a challenge, unwilling to abandon its kill, only to be clipped by the flank of a charging sub-minus adult. The beast stumbles, roaring in pain and fury as the horns graze its side, momentarily exposing the vulnerable, unprotected basket of its gastrolia. In that moment, the apex predator is just another creature trying not to be trampled. But the chaos births new dangers. From the scree at the base of the cliffs, a pack of sleek, feathered hunters emerges, drawn by the scent of blood and the promise of easy meat. The velociraptor pack, swift and intelligent, darts into the chaos, their sickle claws flashing. They are not interested in the titans, but in the small, soft things running amongst them. An old man stumbles, his ankle twisting on a loose stone. He sees the raptors turn their attention to him, their eyes like chips of obsidian. Go, he screams to his family, hurling his spear at the closest one. It is a final, desperate act of altruism that buys them only seconds. It is enough. The clan reaches the pass, scrambling up the rock-strewn path as the hell they unleashed rages behind them. They climb, hand over hand, not daring to look back until they collapse, bleeding and breathless, onto a high ledge. The crossing is made. From their new home in the high caves, they look down upon the plain. The thunder miners heard his past. One of the Allosaurus lies broken, a casualty of the chaos it thought it ruled. The other has dragged its prize away, leaving the gate unguarded. The cost was 3 lives, a price paid for 30. In the silence that follows the storm, a new kind of awareness settles over the survivors. They did not win by being stronger or faster. They won by understanding the connections of this world, the fear of the herbivore, the caution of the predator, the inexorable physics of a stampede. They survived by turning the weight of this world against itself. This is the birthright of Homo sapiens, the singular, audacious spark of strategic thought in a world of instinct. Their desperate gambit was more than survival. It was the first sentence in the story of human defiance. A declaration whispered against the roar of dinosaurs that intellect, not just or claw, would be the weapon that ultimately conquers the planet. How many such desperate calculations, how many brutal sacrifices on forgotten plains, were the true crucibles of the mind that would one day look to the stars. Our chronicle is not the end of the story, but the beginning of a question. And in the frozen north, a different clan learns the terrible beauty of the cry of the woolly mammoth.